right now, this interviewing of people who have been around for a long time in the industry. That's really our way of trying to preserve the history of the television industry through the eyes and mouths of the people who were there from the beginning to develop it and create it. This idea was brought to us by Dean Valentine.
Well, I'd always been interested in history. I'm very interested in it, and the past itself has always been interesting to me. I love the past of television. My dear friend Danny Arnold, who was the guy who created Barney Miller. I loved all those old stories about working for Martin and Lewis on the Colgate Comedy Hour, which is where he was a writer. One day, Danny, his heart just popped, and he was done. He was gone. And I remember thinking about these guys and thinking, they're all, someday they'll all be gone, and it kind of saddened me. And I kept thinking about that, and at the same time, somewhere around that time, Steven Spielberg invited me to see the project he was doing on the Holocaust, which is a show project, which was recording, trying to get trying to make a recording of every single survivor of the Holocaust so that their memory is not lost forever. And I went to University of the Lot to see the project, and there was all these Silicon Graphics computers that they had, and it was clear that it wasn't just that they were putting these people on tape, which was a valuable and critical historical record, but that they could correlate that by digitizing these things, they could correlate information, and so that if somebody mentioned a certain town in Poland that they grew up in, a lot of these towns were completely obliterated. There were no survivors at all. If somebody mentioned that town and somebody else mentioned it, now you had two memories of the same place, and now you could start recreating a world and experiences just based on shared memories of people who had no current relationship with each other. And so the power of the technology was to create new links and new relationships and restore things that had been lost. And that really, I found that sort of fascinating as I thought about that. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to get that done for the television industry? I approached Rich Frank, who was at the Academy.
Well, at the time, I believe television was turning 50 or 55. It was like in there, and all the classic people that I saw growing up, Milton Berle and this and that, and Sid Caesar and shows, and U.S. Steel Hour, all the people that were involved with that had to be getting to their 70s and stuff, and aside from a few books, we didn't know anything about them or how the business started. So I just felt we should chronicle it, and even if nobody looked at it, we'd had it. One day, someday, somebody would look at it and say, maybe that was a good idea, and capture what these people who built it up from nothing did.
And it seemed to me and to others that the idea of preserving the thoughts, memories, so forth, of people for posterity, and then being able to access this material readily, was one of the best things that the Academy could do.
Well, I wish we had done it years ago, because unfortunately we lose some pioneers every day that we won't be able to get the stories of. And there's no way of replacing that, but we're getting as many as we can.
To have them chronicled and to have their essence, as much as you can get on tape and on film for future generations, I think is fantastic. We've got this unbelievable arsenal of information that is unequaled. The amount of experience that's captured in your archives is amazing. I didn't know anything about this business when I started, but I got inspired by a lot of the people I met, whether it was Bill and Joe or Stan Lee or Friz Freleng or Walter Lantz. All those people were inspiring because they knew so much, they'd been through so much, and they were so humble, and they were eager to share it if you asked. That's what I think is exciting about this program, because we can use it as a tool, and it's just finding more ways to reach people and to make a difference in their lives and to excite them about the industry.